Welcome to your Life Spirit Podcast, episode 8. Today is November 29th, 2023. Today we're on the fourth component of CMARSPP'S, which is the A. The A stands for accountability in every component of your life sphere. So spiritual, physical, psychological, relationships, and resources. So let's talk about accountability, Kenny.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just wanted to just make it a little bit clearer to everybody on how we're actually using AC Marsp's. So with your life sphere, SPR, and you want to break each one of those individual letters down and be able to apply AC Marsp's to each and every single one of those. We're going to go over to, like Patrick said, accountability today. And how do we keep ourselves spiritually accountable, physically accountable, psychologically accountable, resources accountable, and relationships accountable? For me, accountability, it really just start at spiritual. When you think about spirituality, if you're on a spiritual journey, you don't just stop, you don't just arrive, but you want to continue to go down that spiritual track and to continue to grow spiritually. So you do need to keep yourself accountable. So with me, I keep myself accountable with my wife, with either my church leaders or with my close friends. And experience, for instance, was last year, Patrick and I and our wives were working to get back and go into the temple because we fell away a little bit and we want to work back on getting to the temple, which is a really good experience we had there. A really great experience. So what we did, we were able to keep each other accountable, make sure we're going to church, make sure we're reading our scriptures, doing things to make sure that we're staying on that path together. And I was able to do it with my wife and my friends. And we were able to achieve it and go back to the temple together. So that's one way I was able to keep myself spiritually accountable. And since then, we're still temple worthy and still able to go to the temple and going down our spiritual path with success.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So when it comes to accountability, I always say we all have to pay the piper. We're all accountable to God. And so that's when it comes to the spiritual component of your life. And that also is directly related to, the accountability it's return and report. That's really what it is. What have you done? And it helps create clarity, helps the measuring of what you're trying to do, and it gives you clarity of where you're at. It's more of a mirror. So whoever it is that's helping keep you accountable is really more of a mirror to you. And ironically, I think that's what they do in counseling. And the accountability also is going to give you that dopamine and oxytocin, and that's you're using your neocortex, the logical part of your brain, just like languages. And also, so the accountability, let's talk about we've talked about in the past, the dailies, weeklies, monthlies, yearlies, those types of things. So that type of accountability, you can call it a weekly status update. So if someone's helping hold you accountable, say it's a trainer, so it's on the physical component, they're meeting with you on a weekly basis. So even if it's someone that's spiritually helping you, so it's a bishop or any other spiritual leader to you, they're going to help hold you accountable on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And they're helping just reflect the reality of where you're at. And that's what the accountability comes down to, is taking an inventory of where you're at.
So on my mission, our service mission for the church, we're out for 2 years. I served in England and Patrick served in Paraguay. Something that you do on your mission, I don't know if you're familiar, if you're not LDS, if you've seen missionaries walking around, typically 2 at a time, no, 100%, 2 at a time with their name badges on. There's a couple of reasons why you walk around 2 at a time. You keep each other accountable, okay? You make sure you guys are doing your work and finding people to teach and just making sure you're on your stuff every day, and make sure you're growing and keeping each other accountable and growing towards your original goal. So with my mission companion, I was able to keep myself accountable in my workouts in the morning with our scripture study, because we have a certain set time that we want to go and study our scriptures every single morning and study the lessons. And then even in business, there's every aspect of your life that you want to grow in, every aspect of sphere, you want to make sure you're accountable or keeping accountable to either yourself, to God, or to a friend.
Even your spouse, let's be honest, that's your eternal companion. That's the one that we, aside from God, that you turn to for counsel. So that they help keep you accountable. And they're more of a reflection of how you're showing up in the world. And no one likes not everyone likes constructive criticism, but that's really what it is. Sometimes when people are telling you things, there's a reason. There's something behind that. There's usually a truth behind that, is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Well,
So,
let's be real though. My faith in God is like extremely healthy, and I have a lot of faith in God. But sometimes it's a little tough to keep yourself accountable to God because you can't physically see Him. He's not physically there in front of you. You know, talking back and forth to each other. His whole concept of faith, right? So it's having a friend or your spouse or girlfriend or whoever keeping yourself accountable to.
yeah, and that's like prayer. So if you think about it, prayer, you're holding God's helping hold yourself accountable. You're returning and reporting to Him
Yeah.
what's happened that day. So that's what I'm talking about on a dailies, your weeklies, your monthlies. On a weekly, you're partaking of the sacrament on a weekly basis. You're renewing your covenants. But on a daily basis, you're asking for forgiveness. And so that gives you the accountability on a daily basis. Let's talk about what let's talk about the next component, which would be,
Keeping yourself physically accountable. So what I like to do is keep myself physically accountable, but something that a lot of people don't have is like a trainer or a coach.
yeah, you can hire a trainer.
Yeah, hire a trainer or going to a program with one of your friends or like a challenge. So something that's very popular out there is something called the 75 hard. I love the 75 hard. I did it once. I got some 30, 40 days. I didn't really, the only person that really kept me accountable was my wife, but I wasn't doing it with anybody. I was doing it alone. Then I failed and then I tried it again and I failed again. But the whole reason of the 75 hard is not really to get in shape. That's just a product of what comes from that, but it's for mental toughness and and for mental growth. So doing something like that with a friend, so somebody that's more physically fit than you are. With me, I have a coach. I send him pictures. I check in. I train with him, or he trains me every single week. Someone to
Does he
keep
beat you
myself
up?
account. No, he beats
Come
my
on, bro.
muscles up.
Lesbian.
He does. Yesterday, he whooped me in
So he
legs.
did. He
Legs.
does.
He had me.
Okay.
I think he was having me leg pressing like 900 pounds for reps.
Okay.
Crazy
So
crap, man.
a little bit of weight.
Yeah, a little bit, man. But yeah, so just keeping yourself physically accountable to whether your physical goals are.
Yep. Yeah. So the physical component, that's pretty simple to the accountability. What it comes down to is that I keep saying it, the space between stimulus and response. So what you perceive as pain, someone may perceive as discomfort. So your trainer or whoever is helping hold you accountable when it comes to the physical component, they're helping push past those mental barriers that we've set for ourselves, that we believe we can only do so much. And so they're the ones that are actually helping push you past that barrier. So I had a lot of experience with that, trained several hundred people. This is starting about 20 years ago, just over 20 years ago. And it was one of the most fulfilling part of my life. That's one thing that I love about accountability is when you're on the other side of it, there's fulfillment in seeing someone grow and actually grow past what they thought they could actually achieve. And when you really comes down to it, even the physical component, it leads right into the psychological, because if you're not psychologically there, the body won't follow, but you got to keep moving. And so that's what it comes down to on the physical. And so now we're to the psychological.
Psychological. Psychologically, keeping yourself accountable. That's an interesting one there.
That's one of the things that's good about school. It helps you take tests. It helps keep you accountable. But if you can do it on your own, if you're an autodidact like myself, where you're self-taught, if you can teach yourself several languages, 4 or 5 languages, I forgot how many I speak now. But if you can do that, then that's a way to do it.
Yeah, one other thing too. The cool thing about these Apple Watches, guys, is that you're able to track your workouts, track your calories, track your sleep, all that stuff. But it's a huge tool, not only for tracking it's a huge tool for tracking physical stuff, but not only for tracking workouts and stuff, but you can actually share your workouts and everything. You can link your Apple Watches with your friends' Apple Watches. Me and Patrick and his wife and my wife all have our watches,
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true.
we're able to see
I
each
like
other's
that.
workouts. And when we work out, and be like, hey, I think one time I saw Patrick and his wife didn't go to the gym for 2, 3 days. And I was like, hey, dude, are y'all been at the gym? Or what's up? Oh, yeah. We got to track my workout or something like that. Or like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I was out of town or something. So I'm like, yeah, you're just able to keep each other accountable doing that. So if you don't have the Apple Watch, or if you do have one, like a lot of people, share your link your watch with one of your friends and keep each other physically accountable. But psychologically, like jumping back to psychological, let's see here. For me, psychological is more like mental health. I see it as mental health. Psychological could be education and
Right.
learning and all that
Right.
stuff. With me and my mental health, I always want to make sure I'm staying positive. I keep myself psychologically accountable to my wife. Some days I might talk a little bit of crap about a scenario, or like, every time I
Okay.
say something negative, I know I'm saying it. Like I literally self-reflect
So you're
that
honest about it.
in the moment. And if I'm doing it too much, I'm like, man, babe, I just did it again. I need to stop complaining. I need to stop saying these things. I don't know. I've been so negative today. Make sure you are self-aware as much as possible because at some point, you become numb to it. You won't know that you're being super negative or judging others or just talking crap or just complaining. You won't even see it. Make sure you're
And
self-aware.
bro, so that I love that's a good, super good point, because what that does is it just takes us right into the relationships component, right? It shows you how all of these components are actually all together. They're all connected, and God's involved in each and every one of these components of our lives. So the relationships, and then so you talked about that, and then resources, accountability with resources.
When it comes to relationships, something I like to do or something that I take a look at is pretty much run everything by my wife when it comes to either keeping a relationship or building a new one or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, I feel like my wife is right a lot of the time. Because us being men, we have our strengths and we have a lot of our weaknesses, which is a lot of them. And the same with women. They have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. That's why we put together. We're able to balance each other out, especially within family and all that. If I'm gonna do something or make a decision that is gonna impact the relationships, I definitely run it by my wife. And if she, like, shuts it down and tells me, like, why I shouldn't do that, or I just shouldn't do or because of this and that, even if I disagree, I'm like, "Dude, if my wife thinks something negative about it, dude, I'm not doing it, bro."
So
Like,
you're constantly counseling with her.
oh, 100%,
That's
dude.
awesome, bro. That's yeah,
100%. 'Cause
yeah.
relationships, like I said, dude, it's so important, bro. Like I said in the other one, like, relationships, I take an inventory of my relationships almost daily, definitely weekly. Who out in the world right now looks at me and is a little upset with me for any reason? I have
Yeah,
to
I like
fix
that.
that. So my wife definitely prevented some things.
That's good. So she's steering you in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
good. And she definitely has the best intentions.
Yeah. But that's one thing for sure. That question, guys, is who in this world right now is just looking at me like that guy's a dirtbag, or that girl, that chick is full of herself, or this and that, or oh yeah, she's messed up. Or he's messed up. If there's somebody like that, like just go hash it out with them. Go make it right. Look
Yeah.
inward. It's not their fault. It's your fault they're looking at you like that. It's your fault. Don't blame anybody else. Look inward. So try and make sure that's all in the clear, all in the clear for relationships, and keep yourself accountable.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's a really good point. So now we're to resources, accountability, pretty simple, but accountability on a daily, on a weekly, monthly basis. So when it comes to cells, that's huge. What did you do today? You're either growing or you're dying. So if you're in cells and you have certain goals on a weekly basis, if you're not hitting your daily goals, you're definitely not going to meet your weekly goals or your monthly, and on and so forth. So that's accountability when it comes to sales profession.
Yeah. And every business or any sort of profession is based or has a foundation of accountability. So whether if you're an employee, you're reporting, you're returning and reporting, like Patrick was saying, you're reporting to your managers. And guess what? The managers are reporting to their managers, and those are reporting to the directors, and they're reporting to the CEO. That's
Yeah.
how it works. You're always reporting. And if accountability is not in a business, that business is not going to be a business for that much longer. Period, point blank. So the tricky thing is, I know people that are listening to this, they're entrepreneurs. They don't have anyone to take really to report to. That's what becomes tricky as far as being a business owner or an entrepreneur. Is the only person you got to report to is yourself. But where it's not just you show up, you make a check, and you go freaking home. It's
That's
it's
why
a
it's
little
so
tougher.
that's why it's so easy to transition from the mission, because you have to be self motivated.
Yep.
So it's an easy transition. At least it felt like it was for me.
Yeah, man, it's definitely like even in the real world, it teaches you how to stay accountable and to stay down that track. But in anything, no matter what your history is or what experience you have, if you don't stay down that track and continue to grow, you're growing or you're dying.
Yep.
Like your mission cannot, and that's not gonna say it couldn't have been for nothing, but like you still have that experience, but you still got to go down that path of accountability and
Yeah.
growth.
And it's really what it comes down to is the relationship you have with money. That's what it comes down to. I mean, you're working for what? For resources, for money. In the process, if you're in sales or other types of professions where you're continually growing, I mean, most of them you continually grow, but I mean, I can relate most to sales. So it's your relationship with money, your relationship with the resources. And just like we said, it leads back and forth with your relationship with your spouse, with those around you. So that's a way, it's a good means of measuring your relationship with each one of those of your life's component. The accountability component is clarity. It's everything else, action. It's everything else that was leading up to that.
You want to know being accountability, or it's funny because based on the sole purpose of accountability, you mentioned it earlier, counseling. It's literally counseling. You want to know something funny about counseling? It ain't cheap. You businesses are based on the principle of accountability only, and they make so much money doing that stuff. Not only that, okay, for the entrepreneurs out there, right? So for me, when I first started my business, it was tough because I went to being like like in a sales role where I had managers and stuff like that, or like even peers and this and that and all that stuff that I report to, or like just keep being in sales. You're not really micromanaged. You don't have in my type of sales, you don't have a day and time. You have to go to work. You just, if you don't work, you don't make any freaking money. So that's pretty incentivizing. But then again, you have managers and numbers that you report and all that.
Yeah.
So, and when I started my business, okay, there's no one to account. I got lazy. There's no one to account. There's no one to account myself toward to. So what I did, I spent so much money on, what do you think I spent so much money? Consulting.
Oh, wow.
Consulting, bro. Consulting is literally business accountability, bro. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Business counseling.
Yep.
All they do is look at your business, look at your habits, and they have habits that they know have worked in the past and they're working right now. And they spill those out to you one by one. Do this now. How are you able to come back to you next week? How'd you do on that? All right, let's try it again for next week. Continue. All right, you got that going good. Here's something else. Here's a roadmap for 12 months. And guess what? For the next 12 months, I have you on this contract. Now you got to pay $7,000 a month for 12 months. I'm paying almost $80,000 in a year for consulting, because guess what? That consulting is a freaking investment that I'm going to make 10 times my investment that year, or
Yeah.
5 times my investment. So it makes sense. Dude, all it is accountability, bro.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So for any new entrepreneurs out there, like getting consulting is a great way to keep yourself accountable, to keep your business profitable, especially in the beginning. Or if you're a seasoned entrepreneur, do some consulting on the side.
Yeah.
Do some
Yeah.
consulting, bro.
One of the experiences I had, Kenny, and thanks for sharing that. One of the experiences I had when it comes to helping people, when it comes to accountability, was when it comes to physical. So I was, like I said, having trained so many people, I found that there were underlying issues. A lot of people were overeating because they were depressed, because they were going through a divorce, or they had something tragic. They were going through other trials, tribulations, adversities in their life. And so what I found is that I found myself working with them on a weekly basis, more as a consultant, doing more of accountability. And that's where I created the weekly status updates. Where are you at on a weekly basis? And that's where I got a lot of fulfillment, being able to see people transform their bodies, but not only go on to do that, but also be able to share and train other people and see the transformation of others. And then they get the fulfillment. That for me was just changed my life. It's one of the reasons I want to do what we're doing now.
Yeah, man. So accountability is pretty much, it's a real huge foundation, a part of the foundation to true happiness and fulfillment and success in reaching your goals. But that's what I have for you today. I'm super excited about our next podcast and our next topic, which is the R and the concept of CMARSPP'S, which stands for recorded. So make sure you guys tune in next week and we'll dive into that and talk about recorded and a little deeper.
Boom.
Or so tune into that and we'll have more for you guys next week. Super unique content. Let's go.